Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5x3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5x3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. 5x3 Radio. Here with Rebecca. It is a lovely Monday morning. Yes.
I don't know. It's Monday. Can you really
It's Monday.
say that's lovely?
It is lovely. I'm actually not hot. I'm actually not cold in my house. I have the fan on in my office because I have the sun.
It's freezing in our house all the time. I don't know why. Like there's some calendar date in Todd's mind when we turn the heat on, and we haven't passed that.
Oh no. No. We will not turn the heat on until exactly. We have to be like in sweatpants. We have to be in a sweatshirt, a hat, a scarf.
Actually, Emily, I'm wearing two pairs of pants right now. I'm wearing two pairs of pants, two shirts, and a sweatshirt.
It's cold in your house.
It's cold in my house.
It's probably about 70 in my house right now. I think that's about
we're
70.
For sure in the 60s, I'm sure.
Well, you're down there in Annapolis, kind of southern part of.
Well, I think we're also we're a little shady. Like we've got some trees.
It's true. You've got the shade. I've got the sun coming in. Mm-hmm. So we're here anyway. Anyway, we thought that a good topic to discuss is something that comes up every year with people, right? It comes up with me. Maybe not. It comes up with everybody, but the time of year where we change the clocks. And this one is the one that we fall
that's
back.
not going to happen much longer.
Well, I don't know, actually.
It's still going to get shorter hours of light.
I don't know if they're actually going to. I don't know if that's going to pass.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to pass, but it wouldn't happen until 2020.
Believe it when you see it.
Exactly. It wouldn't happen until 2023 anyway. The whole idea of like no more daylight savings, but we do fall back in another couple weeks. Cue the sad music, and it becomes dark. Like pitch black at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, early evening. And that just, as much as I love my birthday's in November, and I love my birthday, I always wondered why I was so depressed during my birthday. Like, coming up to my birthday, I'm like, why am I so sad? And then I realized after, how many years, it was like, oh, because it's 5 o'clock and it's pitch black and I don't want to go anywhere and nobody wants to go anywhere. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that. Seasonal affect disorder, winter blues. You can call it what it is. It's for many people, it could be something just the winter blues, right? It's dark, it's cold. I don't want to leave my house. I want to stay inside where it's warm.
A general feeling of wanting to hibernate and try and stay warm by climbing back in bed.
Exactly. Like I did, like this morning where I was like, oh, I really don't want to get up because I'm actually really warm, and it's not even winter yet. It's just fall still, but it was dark, right? It's dark in the morning and it's cold. So where do we draw the line between it's just the winter blues and there could be something more?
Well, I don't know that we're really going to talk.
So we don't want to talk about
that line gets crossed, because it's like that's sort of a clinical diagnosis. If
True.
Seasonal affective disorder, you're probably part of 5% of the population,
right.
But there's other people, 10 to 20%, that have a milder form of that where it doesn't get diagnosed as seasonal affective disorder, which of course is SAD, S-A-D, right?
Yes, so sad.
Aptly named.
Exactly.
But, and then other people have just like winter blues or some sort of like garden variety depression, depressive disorder that might not be seasonal or go through a pattern, yearly pattern.
Right.
An issue all the time.
Well, like I said, like with me, I mean, every year I look forward to my birthday, but then I was really sad during my birthday or nearing it. And I wondered what that was. And as I got older, I realized it was the fact that it was dark. It was just dark and cold. And my body just wanted to kind of, stay away from people and stay inside and not really want to deal with stuff. And then all the issues whatever I was having with myself would come out like in full force. Because, one thing leads to another. It's a domino effect.
It starts to spiral.
Right. So what do we do? I mean, what do we do around this time? Because, I mean, I think we all kind of none of us look forward to turning the clocks back. We kind of all, moan and groan about it. We lose an hour of sleep. it gets darker early or it's cold. How do we get past that? Or what are some things that we can do to get through those kind of winter months where it's dark and cold, and we want to keep training, we want to get to the gym, we want to maintain our consistent, pattern of lifting or exercise in general. What are some things that we can do? So we thought we'd kind of throw that out there and discuss. Yes.
Don't we gain an hour?
No, we lose it. We fall back. We fall back.
We gain? No.
Do we gain?
When you spring forward, you lose.
Oh, you spring forward. Oh, you lose. Yes, we gain an hour. But we
so it's an
we gain that. Yeah, so we gain an hour.
Hour of things being cold and dark.
Exactly.
Which is even worse. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't. Just the mirror.
I'm like over here scratching my head. I'm like, wait.
The thought of like it getting dark. Like you anticipate all of a sudden. It's like, oh my God, I have a half an hour left of sunlight. It's like 4:30.
Yeah.
You turn around.
Either way, it's dark outside when it's
dark. Exactly. And I never liked that when I was teaching, because I would go in dark to the school.
Yeah. Well,
and I'd leave dark.
Yeah. It depends what your daily schedule is like. You might then find yourself in a situation where you're headed into an office with, very few, if any, windows.
Right.
And you're going in when it's dark and you're coming out when it's dark, or like you're going over to the farm to feed your animals and it's dark when you go over early in the morning and it's dark when you go over after work. So
I think in the beginning, there's an initial shock at first, like we know it's happening, and then the shock is there. It's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock and it's dark. But then about a month into it, right, we're used to it. And we get into it. But in that month, in that time, how many people decide, I just can't get to the gym. I don't want to deal with it. I want to go home. I want to sit, I don't know what I want to do. I just don't want to go anywhere. It's dark. It's cold. So how do we motivate? How do we stay, motivated to stay in a routine, to stay with that routine?
Yeah. And I mean, like that sort of like lack of motivation or not really wanting to do too much. That can be just sort of just a general feeling of, decreased motivation or blah, or it could be something that is maybe, clinical or related to some more, maybe diagnosable changes in brain chemistry. But either way, the idea of going and doing some exercise is hard to get motivated for, but might actually be exactly what a person needs in order to sort of boost their serotonin levels, their endorphins, all those like feel good hormones that start pumping around through the body when you get exercise. But it's just hard to make yourself do it. Exactly.
I mean, because how many times do I hear people saying they made it in and they weren't sure if they were going to make it in, or they wanted to go in, and now they feel so much better the fact that they made it in and they got their training in. So where you're kind of pulled in two places, it's good, you should go because it's going to make you feel better, but then how do you make yourself go when it's when it's cold and it's dark? So what are some tips to help people kind of get through those?
Some actionable tips. Like what can we what
are some things
likes best about
actionable? What are some things that you can do? I mean, there's that whole standard, pack your gym bag, have it by your door, have it ready to go, so that when you leave in the morning, you grab it, you head off to work, and then you head right to the gym. Now people, because of COVID, lots of people working from home. Mm-hmm. How do you get that motivation to grab that bag and leave your house? Well, maybe it's the fact that, you've been in your house for how many hours working, and you might need to get away. So it actually might be easier for people to get out, because it's like, I really have been only in this place for the how many 8 hours I've been working, and I've got to do something. I've got to get up and get moving. So, there's that, but now it's dark. It's like, okay, what do I do? How do I get myself? What are some things that people can do? What are some things that you and I do to keep us engaged, to keep us wanting to train? Because this morning I felt that right away. I didn't have my my private clients that I usually have on Monday morning. So I didn't have to necessarily be at the gym at a certain time, but I wanted to go because I wanted to get my training in since I missed it yesterday. I usually train on Sunday. When that alarm went off, though, I hit snooze. I never hit snooze. So there was that pull of like, I really want to sleep. It's dark out. It's cold. Do I really need to go to the gym? Do I really need to get my bench in?
And that's the sort of place where if you've built a habit, you can kind of fall back on it. Like if it's part of just what you do, and you have to,
right.
You got to do the dishes, put them in the dishwasher, unload the dishwasher, gotta, clean the house from time to time, gotta go to the gym. Like things, sometimes the gym is a joyful place to be.
That's right.
And sometimes it's the thing that you just have to do. And if you have that habit that you can fall back on, that makes it a little bit easier, even if it might not make it something that's, hop out of bed early in the morning with a smile on your face worthy.
And I basically told myself, well, I what I'm going to do is only going to take an hour. So I can get there at this time and still finish my session, because I have a meet coming up, right? I'm doing Stronger Together, our meet at the gym. And I'll talk about that later in the podcast before we finish. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to bench because I'm benching at the meet. So I didn't want to miss my bench session. Mm-hmm. So even if it was like a crappy session, which it wasn't, it was good. It was fine. Because I usually don't bench at like 8:30 in the morning on a Monday. Mm-hmm. I did it. Right. But there was that feeling of like, I pushed it a little bit later. Then I was like, yeah, I'm just going to stay in bed a little bit longer. But then it was that feeling of like, I've got to get up and get this in because this is my training day. Yeah. This is what I do. The first session of the week, whether it's on Sunday or Monday, this is my training session. So that habit is there. So if you've built a habit, you can kind of, like you said, fall back on that habit. And maybe just tell yourself, look, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the minimum. I'm just going to get my bench and get my press in. And I ended up doing just that. But then later on, it got a little bit later, in the morning. So before I left to come home, I did some my accessory work. So I kind of basically broke up my workout into two parts. That actually is not a bad idea either, right? If you know that you're a little bit torn because it's cold or it's dark or whatever it is, maybe you just break up your session. You just do the minimum. You do what you needed to get done. And if there's an extra part of your workout, your session that doesn't necessarily need to be done that day, you can do the next day, or you can do it later in the day maybe, or you just skip it all together. Like it was just some tricep work and some rows. I got the main stuff done, my bench and my press. Yeah. So that's another.
So you're kind of talking about a couple different, really good techniques, right? So for one thing, you're talking about reminding yourself of your bigger reason why.
Right.
And so sometimes the bigger reason why is a really big long-term goal. Like I want to age healthfully. I want to have independence as I age, right? Mm-hmm. It could be something that's so far down the road that sometimes it's hard to keep your focus on.
Exactly.
So if you can find a medium range why, like a meet, or some kind of event that you want to participate in, that might be motivating for some people. So, having a very clear reason why that is a medium or even long range goal can be helpful. The other thing that you mentioned was sort of putting some limits around it. So like if the whole workout, if the whole training session just feels like it's going to be overwhelming and it's going to take too much time, right, then the brain starts spiraling and it magnifies, right, the burden of that workout. The opposite of that is to minimize the burden of that workout and say like, okay, so I'm going to use this opposite technique of what my brain is trying to do. And I'm going to say, what's the minimum that I need to do in order to, so I'm going to get the big rock lifts in. And a lot of times once a person does that, they get themselves into the gym. They're like, okay, the main thing today is I need to get my heavy deadlift done. If I get something else done on top of that, that's like icing on the cake.
Exactly.
But a lot lot of times once a person gets in there and, the endorphins start flowing, the habit kicks in. If it's a gym with friends that they interact with and socialize with, and they start having some fun while they're there, then maybe okay, well, you know what, it's really not as bad as I was imagining, and I'm going to get the other lifts done too.
Exactly.
And then the other thing you're suggesting is see about switching things up.
Yep.
And so maybe if you do have one of these job situations where you're going in when it's dark out and you're coming out when it's dark out, if you have an option, like I have a client right now who is now on a different location for his job and has a decent work gym available to him. And his habit always was to do his training first thing in the morning or last thing at night, right? So it's hard to get up in the morning.
Sure.
And it's hard to have the energy after a long day at work. And he started playing around some days with the idea of doing a lunch break workout, like getting the training session in there. And if you're in a situation where you don't actually get to see the sunlight because of your work schedule and the shortened hours of daylight, that might also be an opportunity to get a little bit more sunshine in your day. And get out and just change things up. So, I mean, those are like in just your discussion of what you were doing today, some, 3, I think, really good approaches that people could try and take to find that motivation.
Yeah, it's hard. I think you have to remember that you have to be flexible. And if you've built that training habit, then you can be flexible. Maybe you need to speak to somebody too about that. So that's why there's a coach. That's why having a coach available is always good. My clients will always come into the gym. I had a client come in the other day and she said, "I'm really tired." Right. Should I drop my weights? I said, you know what? See how you feel. Warm up. See how things feel. You'll know right away if you need to repeat what you did last week. Drop some weight. You're here. And halfway through a session, I said, "How are you feeling?" She goes, "I'm feeling better." She goes, I'm glad you said what you said. I said, you have to be flexible. I don't always feel 100%.
Well, I think it's easier for someone else to be flexible. It depends on the personality, right? But if you tend to have an all or nothing or a perfectionist personality or perspective, it's going to be the tendency to say, well, I can't do everything, so I'm just not even going to go in.
Right.
And you really want to avoid that all or nothing. Something is always better than nothing. You only go in and do the bare minimum.
And I try to, as a coach, and this is definitely me, Emily, how many years later, what I tell my clients, if you have an hour, if you have 45 minutes, you have a half an hour, whatever it is, you come in and get something done. I try to do the same thing. No, I don't get upset when I don't have my full training session time, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Let me ask you a question, right? Do you find that it's easier for you to be flexible with yourself and to show yourself grace because your job requires you to do that for other people, so you have some practice with it?
I think I have.
I think that's not really your personality. I think you would tend to be hard on yourself.
No, I do. Yes, but at the same time, because I used to use exercise as a way of trying to make myself smaller and thinner and weigh less, with all the wrong reasons. And so if I missed a session, it was because I wasn't burning enough calories. Now, missing a session is more of just, well, I'm going to have to really make up for it next time, or my bench isn't going to go so well next week because I missed my heavy bench. I don't beat myself up because I view my training so differently now and what it means to me and why I'm even doing it. So I don't sweat if I can only get in one lift. It's what it is. I have to be flexible. Sometimes my job requires X, Y, or Z. I have to kind of make my training schedule fit around my my work schedule. And sometimes I don't have the weekend because something else comes up. I don't get upset anymore. And I've that that's a better me. So that's why when I tell my clients, I walk the same walk. I don't try to pretend I'm something else. I don't have this I'm not a superwoman either, who can just get in whenever she wants. I have to schedule myself too, and sometimes it's just not going to work out. Like tomorrow, I have jury duty, so I have to be at the courthouse all day. Well, tomorrow's squat day and deadlift and this and that. Am I going to miss it? I might miss it. When should I do it? Well, I could always skip it, or I could do it on Wednesday. Not ideal, but I'll make my Tuesday my off day and make my Wednesday my Tuesday. So there's that, I have to be flexible, and I'm not.
Yeah, but when you do that, do you find yourself you're confused about what day it is then?
I do.
Like, I'm squatting, so it must be Tuesday.
I do get,
no, it's Wednesday.
And last week we went away for the weekend, so I shoved 4 days all together, and I was like, that was really terrible. That was a really bad idea, and I knew wasn't going to be great. Did I beat myself up over it? Absolutely not. So the biggest takeaway I'm hearing from just us discussing is, having that training habit built in does help. So if you've built that habit in, you can be more flexible with yourself during these couple months when things are dark and the holidays are coming, which is a whole other podcast that we're going to do about holidays. But if you have that training habit built in, you can start to piece together an ABC kind of routine.
So I think not only habit, but what you're saying is that it is a training habit,
yes,
as opposed to an exercise habit, right? And that helps also because having a training habit, you've got a connection to that mid-range why. Like,
that's right.
You know that if you skip your heavy bench or you don't get the training session in, you're gonna feel it next week. You're gonna notice it, right?
Yep.
So as opposed to if you're doing unmeasured exercise and you feel like you just need to burn calories or that sort of thing. Well, I could burn calories, or I could exercise, or I could just like not eat dinner, right? Like same thing, whatever. It's a calorie deficit. Not an ideal solution, but also like just curl up in bed instead, right? So if you've got like the training habit, that helps you keep connected to like a goal that's in the middle distance. And then it also helps you to prioritize, right?
Exactly.
So you know which of the exercises in your day's training session like kind of have the most bang for the buck. Which ones are, which are your primary lifts that day, which ones are like assistance or accessory lifts, which ones you could kind of shave off the program if you need to save yourself some time. So, like having a training program with clearly defined reasons for why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Is also super helpful in getting yourself motivated to go in and do something rather than nothing.
Exactly. And I mean, it comes back to, obviously you and I are coaches, so we encourage people to to seek out a coach to help them design it, help them with a program, get them on the right track, keep them motivated, but also teach them how to be flexible with themselves. Right? Yeah. I always tell people this program is not set in stone. It is never set in stone. Sometimes you might need another day off. Sometimes you need to just come in for half an hour. You come in for half an hour. Oh, sure. What do you want to do today? What did you do last time? Okay, let's work. Let's think about this. Now go. And the person always leaves better than when they came in. Yeah. But it's so having somebody who you work with who can help you, figure out what to do. If you're on your own, it's a little harder. But hopefully, maybe you have learned to, or you've worked with a coach before and now you don't have a coach, or you've learned to actually just put together some type of program that keeps you engaged. And that's a lot harder for people, I think, than having somebody who's helped them kind of design a program for them.
Well, and I think too, if you're working with someone, like keep asking that why question. Why is a great question. And if you're paying for coaching or training, and you're not just sort of a robot following the directions, but you're learning to understand the rationale or the reason why, then you can start to feel more confident making those tweaks or alterations to the training schedule when you feel that's, I don't know, when it's necessary for whatever reason. Like
exactly.
Schedule, something doesn't, strained or pulled muscle or, just whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a big, having a coach, is good for many reasons. Yeah. But I think this, around this time of year, it's really even more beneficial because you might find yourself feeling really like blue. and feeling really kind of down. And how am I going to, maybe I can switch things up. Maybe my coach can program something a little shorter. So I get 45-minute sessions in. How can I maybe step away from my program and focus on a little bit more bodybuilding or something that's just going to kind of, something that keeps me moving a little faster. Who knows? You can talk to your coach about that. And maybe it's just nothing needs to change. Maybe it's just you need to come in and just get one lift in. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that is the change. It's not so much, changing your program completely, but maybe, like you said, taking things out, paring it down so that you're getting in there for a shorter amount of times.
And also, I think, like figuring out, like if you're thinking about asking why, like, why am I doing this? Like,
right.
Hopefully there's like some goal that is meaningful, or hopefully also some level of enjoyment that a person
yes.
gets from the activity, right? If it sucks and you hate it and whatever,
yes,
it's a lot harder to get motivated. And some people really don't like strength training, but they think of it as their medicine, but they have another activity that brings them more joy.
Right.
So trying to get those things in balance so that the physical activity that you're involved in, even if some of it is medicinal, some of it is still something that's enjoyable. And so maybe during, a slump, you sort of switch the balance of those two things. And I think for a lot of people too, even just adding a couple days in there during the week, if you're able to, maybe you can't go lift during your lunch break, but maybe you could go outside and go for a walk.
Exactly.
And you get those endorphins pumping through your system, and you get some extra sunlight, and maybe you add that to your routine as a way to kind of like low level light therapy,
right.
professionals.
No, exactly. I mean, that's they always said, I believe truly, and you do too, that, this work that we do, strength training, I mean, you and I as coaches and how we work with our clients, that it is medicine, quote unquote, in a sense, right? We're not doctors. We don't diagnose people, but there is something to be said about focusing your attention on and being very attentive and intentional when you're at the gym. And strength training provides that, right? It's very focused, it's very simple, it's very clear, it's cut and dry, there's nothing really fancy about it, especially if you have a program that you can follow. It takes your mind off of other things. Yeah. It just allows you to have a purpose for being there, and it gets those endorphins going. Your mind starts to think a little bit harder because you're focusing on your session. So there have been, and Rebecca shared a study with me from 2018 showing just the benefits of strength training, of resistance training on mental health, on your well-being, your mental well-being. So I've felt this, I've seen this myself in my own training and my own history of seasonal disorder and some depression. And I've seen it in other people, how sometimes it's hard, but just getting in and getting there and then making that routine your routine makes it easier.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier to then continue during the times where you may be in a little bit of a slump. And I think not being so hard on yourself that you have to do everything that's on that paper helps a lot. But I think you have to give yourself permission to be okay with that, right? I think, you can't be hard on yourself for missing, I'm not doing everything I'm supposed to do today. That's okay. It's not your job. You're not getting paid to do this. I mean, if you are, that's a different matter, but most of our clients are not getting paid to do this.
If it's your job, then that's different.
They're not getting paid to lift weights. They're paying us to help them, but they're not getting paid themselves. So, and I think to keep a client engaged is to give them that permission. It's okay to take another day. It's okay to do half your workout today, half your workout tomorrow. It's okay to, it's okay. You don't, there's not, no one's going to beat you up for not completing your entire session. Better to do something now and then instead of completely skipping it and then sending you down an even further, hole of slumpiness.
Well, yeah,
Here's a better word.
That's sort of a place where, yeah, maybe it would be beneficial for a person if they're really struggling to get in and do what's on their training program, right? Like it's fine, sometimes you need to make adjustments for a day or a couple days or whatever, but whether you need to adjust the whole program overall, right? If you find that you're in a situation where for several weeks you're not able to get in and do the full training schedule or the full training program for the day, and you're doing the bare minimum, well, maybe it is time to sort of like redefine the program.
Exactly.
Because you also don't want to create a situation where every single day you feel like you've fallen short.
That's right.
Right. Better to redefine it and say, right now I am in a different season of my life, right? Like a different period where the focus now overall in my life has to be switched more towards my job, or has to be switched more towards this family issue that has come up. And so my training is now in a maintenance phase.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm redefining the program. And so that then you're going in and you're doing the bare minimum, but that's the expectation, because it sucks to feel like I didn't do what I was expecting to be able to do today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just like you just said, creates this negative downward spiral, this negative feedback loop that just ends up making you feel worse.
And having someone support you in that new kind of maintenance mode is important, right? I mean, I have a client who, he quit his old job. He's got a new job, and his new job kind of takes him traveling, and he has a lot more flexibility with things, but he's busier. He's much busier because he does have many different projects going on. So his training has kind of gone down. So he was still getting in. He's away for work right now, but he was still getting in, even for like a half an hour. He came in, one lift. I'm like, you're here. But it kept him engaged, and his weights were moving just fine, and he understood himself, this is where I am right now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Here I am right now. I have another client who, because of holidays, missed a third session. So it's just 2 sessions a week instead of 3 sessions. I said, it's maintenance mode right now. It's maintenance mode. And she understands that. At the same time, there's that feeling of like, oh, but how come this is so hard right now and this feels so heavy? It's like, it's okay. You're doing 1,000 other things right now. Your plate's kind of a little full. The fact that you're still in here and we're keeping it at this intensity and you're still able to you're doing great. So that feeling of like, yeah, but is, it's not there because, okay, yeah, I've redefined where you are right now. And after this phase, we're going to move into another phase. And that phase will be, revving back up.
Rebuilding phase.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, we're talking about, winter and, it being dark out and cold. And of course, the holidays come around the same time of year. So that's a whole other podcast that we'll talk about. But we will talk about, and we'll probably hear similar themes, what to do around the holidays and how do I keep training during the holidays. Because, and again, the holidays always come around when it's dark and cold. and it can be, so I guess for some people it can be, oh, I need to get to the gym to get away from my family. So that's motivation to stay with your dreams. But then for other people, family's here and they want to see their family. So how do you train when it's a similar thing. We'll talk about that later, but it's just for people to know, it'll be something similar to what we're saying now. I think you just have to learn to be flexible with yourself. That's something that I've had to work on, definitely. But if you're in that training mode, if you've built that habit, you will do better than someone who's kind of, free floating with their exercise, kind of going to the gym, but not really. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are actually training.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes when people, first sort of think about the difference between training and exercise and people who program hop and that sort of thing, sometimes redefining your goals or redefining your program and saying, now I'm in a in a maintenance phase.
Sure.
That can feel a little bit like, oh wait, am I doing that program hopping that people look down their nose at, or but it's not.
No,
It's
it's
like,
not. It's not. No, it's not, because I think you're the fact that you're thinking about your program, even if you're deciding that you're going to be in more of a maintenance mode, and you can have a coach help you. Like, what does that look like? You're not program hopping. You're taking something that you have, and you're moving things around to fit your schedule and your life right now, so that you can continue to do what you want to do. And complete your sessions to the best of your ability. And then once things move out, the holidays are gone, or it starts getting lighter again, your program changes again. That's not program hopping. That's you working with yourself. And program hopping is completely doing away with that program, pulling up something completely different and saying, I'm going to do X now. And you do that for 3 weeks, and then you decide you're going to stop that. Then you're kind of all over the place. And honestly, maybe you might need that too. You might need to just throw everything out and decide, you know what, I'm just going to bike for this next month. I'm going to go to spin class and let someone else tell me what to do, physically when I'm there, and just sweat. Hey, I'd say go for it. You're still doing something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends, right? Like there's people who are full on in the deep end with the strength training that would think disparagingly of that sort of approach. But if you're thinking about just people being healthy and moving and being active throughout their life, it kind of depends what the big picture is that you're looking at.
And if that's what's going to get you through for 2 months when it's really dark, like being around other people, like motivated and like listening to music and pedaling really fast, or why not? I mean, that's going, and then you can step back and go, okay, well, that was great. Wow, cardiovascular level is up, and this and that, and I met a new friend, and I've got some new music for my playlist. I mean, you can do a positive spin on anything, and then you transition back to, the regular scheduled program. I mean, I think the next November, December kind of end up being that way for a lot of people. It just becomes harder and hard, and then the new year rolls around. And
I guess I'm thinking about this a little bit more, and like like if you're full on in the deep end about the strength training versus and I think you and I are sort of, when we coach, our big picture is we're thinking like, I would like this person to continue to be healthy and strong
Absolutely.
and active, like 2 or 3 decades from now.
That's right.
Right. As opposed to, I would like to be able to put up on my Facebook page or my Insta account, like how much my client is lifting.
That's right.
Right. Like if I want to be able to report that my client is, squatting 500 pounds, I don't want them to take, a month or 2 off and do something different if that's what helps to keep them motivated for the 30-year goal. So, I mean, that's sort of like what's the big picture for you as the lifter? What's the big picture for the person who's helping you with your program?
Right. I mean, I've got a client right now who has been doing kettlebell work for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months. Took a break from the barbell. He looks fantastic. He loves it. He's got a program. Gretchen's put him on a program. Man. Just that's his focus. That's his goal right now. He's made incredible progress with his strength, with his physique, and eventually he'll transition back. But I'm as proud and as pleased as I can be with the progress. And so is and his coach. I say Gretchen because she's the kettlebell instructor. Yeah. So what it makes me, as you said, what I want is to see people engaged, happy, and moving their weight, moving physically, moving, a bar, a kettlebell, I don't care what it is, that they are enjoying what they're doing, that they're making progress towards their goal. I have an online client who's having 2 knee replacements in January. Her goal right now is to just build some strength. She's got strength.
She's for the surgery.
And go into that surgery
better recovery.
Better recovery. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So that is her goal. So my goal is keep her on the straight and narrow. Her little novice thing is just clucking along, chucking. I mean, it's like 5 pounds a week, and she has not missed a session. And she also does 2 fitness classes during the week too. And the biggest thing she wanted to make sure was, are you going to make me give up my fitness classes? I said, why would I do that? Why would I make you give up something you love? All I want to do is add in something. Add in these compound movements, add in these exercises that are going to help you just overall, see the bigger picture of what's your goal going into this knee surgery. Having the first one done, then having the second one done, and coming out on top. So I always look, big picture. Yes, it's happening, what's happening right now, but it's for what's going to happen in the future too. And if my goal is to keep you going, then we're going to work together to figure out what that, what that is. So, yeah, no, I think that we all need a break sometimes. And we also need to remember, though, like you said, kind of the big picture. What am I training for? Why am I doing this? I always think of in terms of like overall health. I'm not going to stop this because I want to, continue to age well and do for myself. And I enjoy it too. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It gives me a lot of happy, it makes me feel good. But I'm also way more flexible than I used to be as far as like my training and my training schedule. And that's helped me though, continue to stay on top and also still make progress because I don't just throw a training session away if I can't do all of it.
I think we have covered some decent actionable tips.
I think so. And I think, again, these will apply. He should be. He should be.
He should be anyway.
He should be happy anyway. He should be happy anyway. Yes. I think these same tips will probably come back around when we do the holiday podcast.
Oh, we'll see.
People are like, didn't they just put out a podcast like this?
Yeah, no, I think there might be some more eating tips involved around the holidays.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Again, actionable tips.
Actionable tips. Yeah. We want people to take away from the podcast something that they can use. I mean, it's just not just us, talking with each other because this is what we do. We would do anyway. But actionable tips.
This is what we do before and after we hit the
exactly.
Anyway.
And it makes me. I also enjoy. I enjoy talking through this too because I start to step away and kind of step back and look at my own life and my own schedule and my own training. And like I said, I really try to mimic what I give my lifters, and that helps me be a better coach and also a better trainee too because I can be more. Have more compassion for myself as well.
See, yeah, that's what I thought. I did ask you that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no,
there you go. That's the answer I was looking for.
It's true. So if you've got any questions or comments about our podcast today or any of our podcasts, you can always, of course, reach us at Emily@5by3.com or Rebecca
cornerstonestrengthmaryland@gmail.com.
We always would appreciate any feedback that you have, and we look forward to being back in a couple weeks with our next podcast. This one, since we're coming up to the holidays, will be about holiday, travel, family stress.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Good times. And and then we'll probably have a couple weeks off for the in December and the new year, and then we'll start up all over again. So reach out to us if you can. We'd love to hear from you, and take a look at the link in our notes section. I'm going to link the study that Rebecca shared with me. We didn't really go into it too much, but if you like to read it and read through it, kind of.
You're a sciencey person.
Yeah, take a look at it and see what you think. But there are a number of articles that come out about the benefits of strength training for such issues as depression or seasonal affective disorder or the blues, just the winter blues in general. So we appreciate you being with us, and we will be back in a couple weeks. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rebecca.
See ya. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to 5x3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5x3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.